Hi, I'm Mia Parrish with Devils in the Details, and I'm thrilled to be with Ray Anderson, Athletic Director, today to talk about football coming back. I'm a big fan, and so many people are. At this point in the season, we would normally be kind of in the middle, and now we're talking about starting in a couple of weeks. Could you share with us, what all have you missed? We've missed you. We've missed sports, and what did it look like when we pivoted?
Yeah. Well, we've missed the competition and having our student athletes doing what they love to do. And when it was March 11th back at the Pac-12 basketball tournament in Las Vegas, when we were told, hey, it was over, everybody's got to go home, you came back and it was a very strange place with all the student athletes and coaches and personnel people essentially being informed that sports is over. It's done for now. It's postponed. And you know what? We don't know when we're going to resume. So the last 7 months since that day has been exhaustive. It's been certainly challenging for our student athletes who are so used to routine and competing and getting prepared to compete in their very structured way. To have that disrupted has been it's been tough on them. But now with the good news of the last couple of weeks that, you know what, we're going to get an opportunity to play and compete if we do what we're supposed to do in terms of staying within our COVID management protocols. So the buzz, the excitement is back, and we're looking forward to competition.
Absolutely. And how are you preparing? And how were you preparing along the way? Well, you weren't sure, but you weren't sure you wouldn't go back either.
Which means you can't just stop working out and sending everybody home. So in different phases of how we were cleared to have training in development and back on campus, how large could you have the groups? Where could they go? Under what set of circumstances? Each of the sports have certain nuances, but it wasn't the normal intense preparation because you knew you were going in the competition. So it's been tough. They've had to make some adjustments, but now that we know a more normal competitive opportunity is available, everyone's back into full preparation mode, and it's fun to see. But the DNA of these student athletes, and a lot of folks, Mia, like you and I, we're used to having some part of our lives where we have some control.
Right.
And with this COVID thing, almost every day you had to wake up and realize that, you know what, I really don't have control. It kind of depends on what this COVID thing is doing and what the doctors and medical advisors, what the local and county authorities are telling us we can do because of the COVID restrictions. It's been strange, but we're back at it and we're excited to be so.
And it's been really tough to kind of balance that mental and physical thing. I know, and there are concerns about testing and side effects. What sort of conversations are you having now about that? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, the thing we did from the very beginning was communicate consistently. And we had a real top-notch medical advisory group in the Pac-12 that we assembled very quickly. Some of the top infectious disease doctors, epidemiologists, scientists who were as a group informing all of us in the Pac-12, the presidents, the chancellors, the ADs, the coaches, and the student athletes. So on many occasions, even though you didn't have any real substantive change news to report, we were reporting out to our student athletes and their parents on some Zoom calls and other correspondence that, we're working, we're trying to get there. Stay in there. You got to keep working. You got to stay focused. But I'm telling you what, one of the biggest things was making sure that their mental health was good, because, depression comes in, anxiety, a fear of not being able to do what they love doing. It was rough, as I said.
Yeah, it's a big challenge. I mean, you have that mental piece of it for athletes who are so disciplined and used to being able to stay with the program, and you don't know what the program is.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you have all this COVID community spread and fear of where do you go, who do you go with, am I doing the right thing? Am I putting myself and my teammates, more importantly, am I putting my family and my elder family members at risk with whatever I'm doing? And a lot of guilt was put on these student athletes
Right.
to just do the right thing all the time. And you know what? They're still 18 to 22.
Right. And, it's a lot to ask any of us.
It's a lot to ask any
A
of us.
lot of pressure on everybody.
Yeah.
And, I read something about how you're using video games to keep the competitive juices flowing. It seems like that would help with mental health too, but why'd you take that step? And
yeah, well, that was Coach Herm Edwards and some of the other coaches. This generation, they grew up with video games, and some of them are really, really competitive. So, for instance, in football, the Madden games. People play the Madden games all over the place because it's strategic, it's competitive. You draft, you cut guys, you bring guys onto their teams. And so literally they had a Madden tournament amongst segments of the team to keep their competitive kind of juices flowing. And then, of course, they can smack talk and
right.
get on each other and talk about who's got the better strategy. So, the whole point was to keep their mind competing. And so that was what Herman did in football. And apparently it, even though this was done Zoom, done virtually, apparently it was very well done and very well received, and apparently very exciting.
No, I love that. Just being able to figure out how to play about playing,
Yeah.
just really enjoy it and get that sense back.
Indeed.
So fast forward, now you have the green light to start the season on November 6th. What was the reaction when the players and coaches heard?
Oh, it was it was fun. It was gratifying to see the reaction of some of the coaches, and when you see the student athletes just around, and everything is very protocol driven in terms of the directions you go, where you can go, how you go there. But when you see them, there's a pep in the step. And the excitement was, hallelujah, we're finally back. Let's go make it happen. Really exciting, really exciting. And it was like, just relief. It's like you let the wild horses out of the corral, and now they're back out there running free, and just getting after it. It's been fun the last week and a half when it became clear that, we really have the green light. But what we really had to stress is that student athletes and coaches, it's now on you. We've gotten the green light, but nothing for granted. Nothing's guaranteed, because this COVID thing still controls. So you got to stay in your bubble. You got to stay protected. You got to stay diligent. You got to stay disciplined. You can't think that just because you've got the green light, the battle is over. Because all you have to do is see some of these pro teams and some of these other college teams who have gone out, they've played, but now they've had to ratchet back, shut down, not have anyone in the facilities, and who knows how that's going to be. So nothing is guaranteed just because you got the green light. You got to make sure you keep the green light. And that's the part we're managing now, Mia.
Yeah, and you've got a new agreement with rapid testing in place, which was really necessary for not just football, but for all the sports. How confident are you in the season starting and continuing?
Well, the rapid testing, we did the deal with the Quidel Corporation, one of the leaders in the rapid testing. And of course, that capacity is advancing and evolving quickly. So we feel very confident that with the rapid testing and the other testing protocols, including still some of the CPR stuff, that we have the testing to keep us safe and managed. But you still have to have the behavior and the conduct and the discipline from your student athletes to stay within that testing bubble, and not break out and think that you have this magical Superman cape that's going to protect you if you go outside the bubble. So very confident that the testing capacity is there, and we have to be confident that our student athletes will take the appropriate responsibility and accountability to make sure we can deliver on the opportunity.
Right. And the empty stadium over your shoulder is reminding me about the fan experience. That's going to look really different too. Are you doing anything special with social media or other things to create a virtual fan experience?
Well, certainly our game experience and game operation, game presentation folks are following all the other leagues in terms of some of the things they're doing. Do you have cardboard? Do you have to cover up more of the seating with tarps? Do you bring in ambient sound? Do you pre-record the band and the fight song and play it up on the video boards? Trying to be creative because unfortunately at this point there are not going to be any fans of any numbers in the stands. You may be able to get some family members and essential game day operators in, but at this point in the Pac-12 we're not allowed, certainly in the California schools, to have fans at all, even family members. So it will be a very different kind of probably at first eerie type of environment. But the number one thing was to be able to get our student athletes on the field, kick off, and play football. Because we will have, a lot of TV and other media coverages, even though there won't be a lot of fans in the stands, if very few, if any. So it will be strange, but we're looking to try to do some things with our social media sites and everything else that maybe spruces them up a little bit. Maybe there's some, you get into the locker room with a camera at halftime to hear the halftime speech or the pregame speech. Maybe you get some access that otherwise you would not have had. We'll see some different things, hopefully.
No, that'd be great. Go in the locker room, hear the pep talk. I mean,
Yeah.
Herm always inspires me, so I think
Yeah,
that would be
that won't be a problem getting inspired with Coach Herm, that's for sure.
right. Exactly. Okay, so football. I'm just dying to know. Jaden Daniels was a monster as a true freshman quarterback last year. I loved watching him. Any concerns about a drop off? Heard he basically put himself in a bubble just to stay healthy.
We have tried to bubble all of them, but certainly the quarterback position, you want a double bubble. You don't want to lose the quarterback.
I think that might be a good hashtag for student athletes, double bubble.
You don't want to lose your quarterback, but we're excited about this team. Certainly Jaden as a young quarterback, I think he really showed last year. We think he's poised to even step it up further. We like Zach Hill, our new offensive coordinator. We've got a lot of tools around him. We think we've improved in the offensive line. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we're growing them up as well. So you put all that together, we got our punter back. We feel good about our field goal kicking and special teams overall. So very frankly, we're enthusiastic and excited about this team getting out there and competing. I know Coach Herm and the other coaches are. So it's pretty exciting.
So in such a weird season, who do you think has the early advantage in the first few games? Offense, defense?
Oh, I think it's going to be offense. I always think it's going to be. I used to play offense, so I think offense.
Say you're a little biased.
Yeah, I'm just a little biased. But I think some of these nuances to the offenses that coaches are constantly putting in are things that defenses need a little more time to adjust to. But I'm very confident for us, very frankly, on both sides of the ball equally.
No, that's great. And it's not just about football. How do you like this year's teams in general? Which at least on paper look like they're really well positioned to contend.
Yeah, well, I think our men's basketball program is going to be exciting. I think our women's basketball program, we had one of the best recruiting years in women's basketball, but we certainly did in men's basketball as well. And I think the early season projections are very optimistic about how we can do in men's basketball, and I happen to believe women's basketball will provide some real excitement as well. So the basketballs will start on November 25th, consistent with what the NCAA has allowed. So in basketball, you're really only going to lose, 4 or 5 games. We're only 3 weeks later than what we would have normally started. So I think we'll pretty much have a robust, almost full basketball season, and excited about that. And again, it's all going to be dictated by how we manage through this COVID, because it's not going away. And so
Right.
they too will be subject to having to be diligent and disciplined, and we'll have to bubble them up appropriately. So it'll be fun. And then there's no question, the other, well, you got gymnastics and you got swimming, diving, although we're not participating this year because we strategically didn't want to risk missing another championship. But then the fall sports like volleyball and soccer, they've been pushed back to the spring. They will have at least a pretty good season and a championship opportunity to compete in the NCAAs in the spring. So we're excited. We're getting ready to get back to sports, and that's the main thing for us, Mia.
Absolutely. And I'm personally excited for what we're hoping is a great season. And what would you tell people? Mask up and forks up?
You got to have mask up, certainly forks up, and keep your head, your confidence, and your excitement and your faith up. Because what we say here at Sun Devil Athletics is, this pandemic is temporary. We will figure out how to manage it, and we will eventually get a vaccine, and we will eventually, as a country and as a community and as an institution, we will be able to deal with what is a temporary situation. But Sun Devil Athletics and Sun Devil Nation and what we're trying to do here is forever. So think about the forever and know that we will deal with the temporary, and we'll be just fine.
Well, I love that. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining us for Devils in the Details, and go team.
My pleasure. Go Devils.
Go Devils.